Hey there, fellow gamers and Anno 1800 fans. It's been an incredible journey, and today we're wrapping up our Anno 1800 series with a bang, finishing up all of the biggest milestones in Crown Falls, so get ready. Last time, we left off after 60 hours of play, and this video will cover the rest until 100 hours. If you want to see the previous videos, there will be a link to the playlist in the description down below. But for those of you who need a reminder of where we left off last time, during the last few hours, we had just started remodeling Walzmann to incorporate trade unions in the design of my industries, and I had also started building up my zoo, botanical garden, and museum on Crown Falls. With all of that out of the way, let's get into it. Starting back up at hour 61, I fulfilled lifestyle needs for my workers in Crown Falls and also started to create items that make Walzmann more efficient. The first production to be optimized was my lumber production. This took about 2 hours overall as I went through many iterations of items and layouts before landing on the right one. During hours 63 and 64, I worked on importing resources to Crown Falls and building up my research institute while also creating some items for my museum, zoo, and botanical garden. This is something that I will do constantly until the end of this series. I also reworked Walzmann to make it more efficient and created a bunch of items related to the industries I needed. Hours 65 through 68 were spent trying to figure out how to rework Walzmann and creating the right items, and I realized that some items are actually game changers and basically must-haves. The 69th hour, nice, was spent upgrading a bunch of houses on Crown Falls and creating items for my production lines in Walzmann. Hours 70 through 72 were spent optimizing productions on Walzmann and fulfilling the needs of Crown Falls. This was also when I upgraded my first house to skyscraper level. During hours 73 and 74, I spent a lot of time on Manola upgrading houses to gear up for the creation of the dam. As many of you had pointed out in the comments, I really should strive to unlock this as it makes things a lot easier. By the end of these 2 hours, I had finished the dam construction and was able to get rid of all of the power stations I had built, which was really nice. On Crown Falls, I also spent time upgrading more houses to skyscrapers and spent more time working on Walzmann to fulfill the needs for Crown Falls. Hours 75 through 78 were spent creating a gun production for Crown Falls, and I also kept upgrading houses into skyscrapers more and more. During hours 79 through 82, I started building the Iron Tower and also built a bunch of hotels and provided the needs through creating more industries in Walzmann. Hours 82 through 90 were spent finishing up the Iron Tower, upgrading houses to skyscrapers, and upgrading my first skyscraper to level 5. This also allowed me to start building the Skyline Tower. The rest of the series until 100 hours, I spent my time upgrading more houses to skyscrapers, finishing the construction of the Skyline Tower, and making sure that Crown Falls had everything it needed. I also spent time remodeling my museum, zoo, and botanical garden. and this is where I decided to stop this series. But before we move on to my closing thoughts, let me recap a little bit on my main 3 islands, being Manola, Walzmann, and Crown Falls. Manola is my main island in the New World. It was the subject of many reworks throughout this whole series, and I finally unlocked the dam, which would have made things a lot easier had I unlocked it earlier on. Overall, I feel I did a pretty good job with this island, and it works fine as it is, but it's definitely not optimized. Walzmann is my main resource production island for Crown Falls, and in a similar fashion to Manola, it went through a lot of reworks, with the latest being focused on incorporating items in my trade unions to make the island more efficient, and oh my god is it efficient now. I was able to cut some productions out completely and reduce production of a lot of other resources because of some of the items I have created. This island is also using the docklands extensively to avoid too many annoying trade routes. Crown Falls is my main island in this whole save. It only had one rework, which is surprising, but I knew early on where I wanted to go with this island. The addition of the 2 endgame towers did make me rethink where to put the Universal Exposition, which ended up at the top of the hill, whilst the 2 towers took its place in the middle. I feel this island represents really well how far I've come in this series, as skyscrapers are something I've never delved into before, and this island has quite a few of them. Now for my closing thoughts. I feel like 100 hours was actually a really good amount of time. Maybe slightly long, I probably could have cut about 10 hours and still would have been at essentially the same place, but 100 hours makes for a better video. After 100 hours, I felt that I had basically done everything I wanted to do, and it felt like I had nothing more left to explore. In my previous games on Anno 1800, I would always quit after about 20 to 30 hours, and with this series I was finally able to push that boundary and really delve into some of the late game mechanics that actually make the game a lot more fun. The Docklands on its own is a huge game changer, and thanks to some of you guys who left comments telling me how I could take advantage of it, I was able to really milk it for all it's worth. Something else that I discovered is the power of being able to create items for industries and how that can change the way you play the game, making some of my productions before unlocking items basically irrelevant. But the main difference with this save is that I was able to feel like I accomplished something, instead of feeling like I quit too early as I usually do. Unlocking a unique building such as the Iron Tower is something I usually never get to do, and it felt great to finally get to that point. If you're like me and tend to quit after about 20 to 30 hours, I highly recommend trying to go farther. Maybe not 100 hours, although you certainly can, but try to push yourself and unlock some of the things that you never unlocked before, and it will hopefully give you a new outlook on the game. Something that I would say was a bit of a letdown though is the trade UI. I feel like the information's difficult to access, not clear enough, and it often led me to not really know how much of a resource I should put onto one of my ships. If I could get the number of items per minute that my ships are bringing to an island, for example, it would make things a lot easier. But I have to say, looking back at the start of this series, there's really no better feeling than starting a new game in Anno 1800. And now that I reached 100 hours, I can look back and see how things started, how many remodels I did, especially of Walzmann and Manola, and just seeing that in video form is amazing. Which is why a full time-lapse of Crown Falls of the whole 100 hour series is coming as a standalone video, so stay tuned for that if you are interested. Anno 1800 was always an amazing game for me, and I realize now that I was missing out on a lot of what the game had to offer, and now I can finally say I feel like I accomplished what I came here to do, and I can finally put down the game for a while without feeling like I should have kept that 20-hour save going that I started a few months ago. On this note, if you guys enjoyed this video and this series on Anno 1800, make sure to leave a like, a comment, and subscribe as well. It really does help. And I hope I inspired some of you guys to go longer into some of your saves on Anno 1800 and discover what you had never unlocked. On this note, I hope you have a great rest of your day wherever you are in the world, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.